of Education being held virtually via Zoom in accordance with the MDHHS orders on Monday, January 25th, 2021. Our meeting is being video recorded and will be posted on the Ferndale Schools YouTube channel. All meetings in the Ferndale Schools are held in public in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. Printed documents discussed in tonight's meeting are available to the public upon request, with the exception of any information protected by student or employee privacy rights. Board meeting information is posted on our website at www.ferndaleschools.org. If you do not have internet access or need information, please contact the board offices at 248-586-8652 by Thursday of the week prior to the meeting, and district staff will do their best to work with you. This meeting is called to order at 7:03 p.m. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Elturk.
Here.
Hart.
Here.
Ibrahim.
Here.
Latash.
Here.
O'Donnell. I haven't seen
Here.
him. Thank you. And Vice President Dookie.
Here.
Thank you.
Item 1.2, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1.3, approval of the agenda. After review of the agenda, do any board members have any amendments they would like to make? Without objection and with unanimous consent, the agenda is approved. Item 2.0, student representatives. I think I saw Janae Ingram. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Janae Ingram, and I'm the senior board representative for University High School. And I'm just here to let you know what's been going on around our school in these past few months. On Friday, January 8th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., we held in-person target time at our school. Learning labs were also available that week as regularly scheduled. Our finals were held the following week, and thanks to the target time and learning labs, we were able to increase our passing rates for the semester. We've now had a smooth start to our second semester, which is the last semester for class of 2021, not just for UHS, but throughout the district. Information sessions for OTC vocational and early college programs are held this month. On the 21st, there was a virtual meeting for OSTC Career Night. There is a virtual career fair tomorrow evening, and a meeting for students interested in early college will take place this Thursday at 6:30. Clubs such as Art Club, Newspaper Club, and our National Honor Society are still meeting online, but practice has been resumed for our girls and boys basketball teams and our cheer team for the semester. Black History Month activities from our student council will begin next month, and we will have more information released in the following weeks about those activities. And that's all that I have to share with you guys for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Janae. Is Kai Walker here from FHS?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. Good evening, everyone. I pray everyone is all right and doing well and healthy. Happy New Year. Good evening. Welcome back. I hope you all had a lovely holiday season. My name is Kai Walker, and I'm the senior advisor at Ferndale High School. And I'll be giving you a rundown of upcoming and past events that have been going on at Ferndale High School this month. So first and foremost, seniors, this is a reminder to check your emails and continuously check your emails for the senior packet. It's a packet that includes all things related to senior year, including yearbook pricing, upcoming events, and updates will be made periodically to the packet. If anyone is interested in knowing plans for return to learning, all that information can be found on the Ferndale Public School website. Ms. Conlon, our theater director, has been working with students on a virtual piece. They have been rehearsing and recording monologues over the past few weeks, and we are excited to share this video to the community. The project is entitled Got Rights, and it is monologues from plays with themes of politics and human rights highlighted in our Constitution and rights. Many are taken from a new play by Heidi Schreck entitled What the Constitution Means to Me. The show was running on Broadway when the pandemic hit firstly. There are 12 students involved in the project, and they are recording this weekend. Hopefully, it will be available to stream very soon. Report cards have also been mailed out to FHS students. And for School Board Appreciation Month, an FHS swag bag was delivered to each home on behalf of the Ferndale High School. Items included were an FHS water bottle, backpack, pen, and notepad, as well as other items. And that is all I have for you guys tonight.
Thank you, Kai. That brings us to item 3, presentation of the Superintendent's Excellent Award.
I'm ready. I was just on mute. I was clicking it. This evening, we're going to be honoring 2 exceptional students, one from Ferndale High School and one from University High School. We're going to start with Ferndale High School today. We are going to be honoring Ivy Steffen, who was nominated by Stella Johnstone. I'm going to share some of Ms. Johnstone's submission on behalf of Ivy. And then I believe Ms. Johnstone and Ivy are online, and we'll give them a moment afterwards also to congratulate them, as well as Ms. Kathy. So Ivy has been recognized numerous times at Ferndale High School for her dedication to not only her academics, but athletics. In the past 2 years, she's been a part of the Ferndale High School volleyball team, where she served as a role model and leader on the team. She always supports her peers with compassion, respect, and knowledge of the sport. 3 words that Ms. Johnstone used to describe Ivy was integrity, accountability, and empathy. Ivy is also very dedicated to her family. When she's not in school or playing volleyball, she's always helping her mom with her grandparents and other family. She's always seeking to stay active and ensures self-care for not only herself, but those around her. Ms. Johnstone said, "When I think of a leader, I think of somebody who is empathetic, positive, accountable, and resilient. Ivy possesses all of these qualities in all aspects of her life, such as school, volleyball, and family." Ivy demonstrates a growth mindset as she is always looking to get better, whether it's in art class or on the volleyball court. She's always open to constructive criticism because she knows that's how she will learn and grow. When it comes to empathy, Ivy is always there for her teammates. If there's anyone down, Ivy's the first person to meet them, acknowledge their feelings, and try to cheer them up. Ivy views her teammates and her classmates as her school family and treats them always with empathy and respect. It's with great privilege that I introduce Ivy as one of the Superintendent Excellence Awards winner for the month of January. Virtual clap for Ivy. Ivy, if you're online, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for the background.
No,
but
that's fine.
But thank you so much, and thank you, Ms. Johnstone, for nominating me. I really appreciate it.
Ms. Johnstone, oh, please, yeah.
Oh, I was saying thank you to you as well.
No, thank you. I hope you got the award. We're trying the virtual mail. Oh, yeah, you got it? All right, there we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, Ivy is a dream person. I've had the pleasure of knowing her and working with her since she was in middle school. I was also her middle school volleyball coach. And she just constantly blows me away with her kindness, respect for others. And she's just such a good person to be around. And I can't wait to see the impact that she has on the world, because this girl's going to do good things. She's going to do really good things.
Thank you again. for the thoughtful submission. Miss Kathy, are you on?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, do I have the wrong one? Somebody said they wanted to say something about the student. Is it the next one? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, that was no problem.
We'll keep going. All right. Our next student is Richard Savaya. Unfortunately, Richard, I guess fortunately and unfortunately, Richard can't be with us this evening, but wanted to express his gratitude for getting the award. This week, he wanted us to know that it's prayer week, and he was thinking of us all and couldn't miss that today. So we understand, but I am going to share a few words about Richard, who was nominated by Jovan Wilson, math teacher at University High School. Richard is an eccentric and wonderful student who is extremely respectful and a hard worker. He's a leader in the classroom, ready to help students by translating sometimes the difficult math language to his peers. He speaks to students as they come into the virtual classroom and greets them with a friendly hello. Richard is a part of his church and very active, also involved in OSTC. Richard enjoys playing video games, taking care of his brothers, and enjoys helping his mom with chores. Richard, you're welcome to join our family anytime, because that's certainly a challenge with my kids. He's a great person with a huge heart. Richard is someone who makes it fun and enjoyable to come to school and work each and every day. He's somebody that just puts a smile on your face by being himself. So it's with great pleasure to give Richard this award. We're sad that he couldn't make it, but he let us know that he did receive the award. Mr. Wilson or Miss Kathy wanted to say anything at this time, please do.
I just wanted to.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go first.
Okay, yes, this is Mr. Wilson. Yes, Richard is a very special student. As I said, he is a leader in the classroom. He's the only one who actually speaks to the students as they come in, which, at first it was a little just different, but, everybody is pretty much accustomed to it. He just brings a lot of energy every single day. And he's not here because he is heavily involved in church, which he's there right now. And he's an all-A student, helps other students as far as answering questions. And, he's willing to do examples and things of that nature. So he is well deserving. And he let me know that this was his first award, and he was very excited about receiving it.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for the great submission.
I would just like to say real quick, I won't hold you guys up long. I'm Richard's OSTC bus driver, and I've had the pleasure of driving him since he started there. And it's not always very often you meet a student like Richard. His infectious laugh, his sense of humor, he's so dedicated to his family, and he's so respectful on the bus. He is just a joy to drive. We have great, intelligent conversations, and he's not afraid to talk from his heart about his family. And he's just the most caring, intelligent, nice young man. And he always sits right behind me every day. He can't wait to greet me, as well as I can't wait to greet him. He's just a very unique student, and he's a joy on the bus. So I wanted to congratulate him and tell him I'm really proud of him, which I told him last Friday already, or Thursday and Friday, but next time I celebrate. He's amazing. There you are. Hey. Congratulations. So proud of you. So, so proud.
Thanks.
Have a beautiful evening.
You too.
Thanks, Richard.
You're welcome.
Richard, the floor is yours. If you want to share something, we're so excited you could join us.
Thanks. It's in the dark, so I'm in the car right now. So I I'm going to church right now. So, well, this award is special, and this is not my first time getting an award. So I got an award from freshman and sophomore. So this special award. So this is the good award. So
All right, thanks, Richard.
Congratulations again. Congratulations again to Richard and Ivy. That takes us to item 4, the Eagle of the Month.
Great. This month, we are recognizing somebody that many people know. This person was nominated by Mr. Sean Butler and Miss Catherine Gerns. This month's recipient of the Eagle of the Month Award is Kim Ebby, who's a Ferndale High School Special Education Parapro. I'm going to share some words from Mr. Butler as well as Miss Gerns. Kim is always here. She works inside the classroom. She works at athletic events. You see her everywhere, wherever you see Ferndale events. If you were to sit in one of her classes, you would think she's one of the lead teachers. She has passion and compassion for education. She works hard all day and gives kids everything she has. She is so positive and nurturing with her students, and she works seamlessly with teachers in the classroom. She never gives up and is always looking for ways to help support our students. Kim is one of those people who never complains, comes to work with challenges at times, but has the patience to work through any difficult situation. Ms. Gurn shared Kim Ebby will go above and beyond for anyone at Ferndale Public Schools. Not only has she been a cheerleader for me every day, accepting crazy ideas, she dedicates herself to Ferndale schools. She's been working for years in the self-contained programming, adapting to the many different classrooms we've had, always to support the unique needs of our students. She's an excellent example of the type of staff we strive to have in Ferndale. She brings years of knowledge and collaboration for teachers, especially newer ones. Kim has worked daily to ensure that teachers have the tools they need, that students are active participants in classrooms, and that everyone is getting well-deserved breaks that they need during this time. Any errand that needs to be done, she either knows how to get it done or she will find a way to get it done. Kim Ebby, in my opinion, is one of the most deserving people of this award. We wish we had a Kim in every classroom. She is highly regarded and recommended and respected by all staff members. Kim, we thank you, especially during these difficult times, for being there for our students, for supporting our staff, and always willing to go above and beyond. There's not many places I go throughout the district and I don't see you supporting our students and staff inside and outside of the classroom. So it's with great pleasure that Kim Ebby is the Eagle of the Month this month.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very grateful. And I work with so many people that are just the same way. And it's easy to go to work when everybody cares and everybody wants to succeed. It's a great place to work and live. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mrs. Evie. I know Mrs. Evie quite well. We used to work together when I worked in Ferndale. Definitely well deserving, and I appreciate your continued support of the Ferndale family. Up next is item 5, building presentation. This month is UHS being presented by Principal David Gardner.
Good evening, everyone. Danya, okay. Looks like you got it. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Gardner. Like Danya said, I'm a principal at University High School. I'm just going to provide a building update for UHS for this year. in terms of our progress and some of the things that we're working on for this school year. At UHS, can you go ahead to the next slide, please? At UHS, we like to focus on what we've come to call our 3 big rocks this year for the 2021 school year. Those big rocks are teaching and learning, social emotional learning, and metrics that matter. Next slide, please, Tanya. Teaching and learning at UHS starts with our new teacher PD and onboarding of new staff. This year we have actually quite a few new teachers, and the new teacher PD was taken district-wide, but we still have our own brand of UHSing that we do at our internal staff meetings and flexible professional learning communities. We are also big on culturally responsive teaching, cultures of thinking, and making sure we engage in the best practices for engagement and online learning, which is a really big emphasis this year with the virtual environment. We shifted a practice that we've had for a number of years called Target Time and converted it to a Friday pop-up in order to support students who are struggling with online learning, which was a huge need that cropped up since we've had to change to a virtual online learning environment. The way Target Time works is we have staff in the building from various departments, sometimes one, sometimes multiple. Most recently, we had it for a number of departments because we were only able to get in 2 this year because of the changes in what we could do on campus. So we have a huge turnout, and it actually helps to move students ahead, because one of the biggest things that we've heard from our students is just the challenges that they're having with the online environment, like I think a lot of us are. Next slide, please, Tanya. Social emotional learning at UHS. Here at UHS, restorative relationships focus is a huge part of what we do. It's really what I consider to be a strength of mine. Positive support measures, and what we mean by that is the support doesn't make you feel bad. It's support that you can respond to, it's support that you want, because it doesn't make students feel like they are not able. It just helps them understand that they need a little bit more support. Our curriculum is very intentional. Nothing is by accident. Trauma-informed training. We were fortunate last year to pick up a social worker who has been a great addition to our staff. It was the first time we've had one since we've been a part of the district. And she's been a huge addition, and also providing some more trauma-informed training and just being an advocate for our students and our families. And we have adjusted our support staff to meet the needs of students in a virtual environment, which I'll talk a little bit more about as we go through the slides. Next, please, Tanya. Metrics that matter at UHS. Metrics that matter is the way that we quantify data to figure out what UHS really needs to know. We use metrics that align with imbalanced educational priorities. We combine data from all of our school-wide systems, that's the MyStart, NWEA, PSAT, et cetera, with information that we collect through departments and at the classroom level. So we collect the information in a lot of different ways. Observations, assessments, and we try to paint a complete picture of learning programs and student performance at UHS so that we can, again, be specific and direct with the needs of our students. We use available data to inform our social emotional learning and our decision making, as well as instructional and curricular practices and planning at UHS. What you have linked there is a document that kind of outlines the goals and the implementation of the metrics that matter. That is available with the presentation if you want to take a look at that going forward. But we roll that out, we implement through our monthly staff meetings, and we have a school-wide data team that analyzes and tracks the program and its development as well as its effectiveness. Go ahead, flip back to the slide, Stalia. Thank you. The next is strategic plan implementation snapshot. Empowerment and success. We like to foster a positive culture within the school environment, and we do that by focusing on proactive and restorative strategies, while we address challenging behaviors in a consistent manner through cohesive policies and practices. It's a very complicated way of saying that what we like to do is identify in advance. We seek information out. We ask questions, we observe, we inquire. We are very nosy. We do too much. We like to be in the kids' business, because if we can build that relationship proactively, which is a big part of restorative practice, then we can address things before they happen, which is a lot like being, a fortune teller, but not really, because kids will tell you stuff. Families will tell you stuff. What we try to do is make sure that we have an environment where families feel okay and kids feel okay about letting us know what they need, whether it's, directly or indirectly. With the online environment, that's been a challenge. But one of the things that we notice, if students aren't signing in, for example, we know that there's something going on. So we reach out to them and we inquire, is there something we can help out with in terms of technology? There's something we can help out with in terms of a setting. In my weekly announcements that I send out to students, I consistently message learning labs. I let them know that they can get some one-to-one help in learning labs, which I'll go into more. I'm getting ahead of myself. Next slide, please, Dahlia. Our strategic plan mindset is that we work from a place of community, positivity, and relationships. One thing you're going to hear a lot about when we talk about UHS is relationships. Go ahead, Dahlia. Now, these are 8 tactics at Exemplars. Number 1, our restorative practices coaching. Our restorative practice coach has been a huge benefit to us. She has been great in adjusting her approach since we don't have students in the building, where she had a group of kids that were identified and she would meet with them regularly. What we've done is allow for her to work with students who are referred by staff. So if teachers are having some trouble reaching a student is chronically absent, they're not submitting, any kind of concerns that pop up, the teacher will refer that student to the restorative practice coach. And when the student's referred by teachers, not only to the restorative practice coach, but we also have our student success coach and our college transition specialist. So we have all of our support staff ready to kind of give students that one-on-one help that they need, so they can reach out to them and plan individually and support them. So it's a one-to-one support for students, whether it's directly in the learning labs, because a student can come in and spend all day in the learning labs. And because we don't have a whole lot of students coming out, so they can get that one-to-one help, throughout the day. If they stay here all day, if they want to pop in. So a lot of students have actually expressed that they prefer hard copies of things. So the restorative practice coach, the student support coach, even the counselor will print things for the student, go through their classes, help them send emails to the teachers to ask the questions that they're trying to ask. So they get that one-to-one support. And we also maintain lots of student data for those students that are receiving that tier 3 support, that one-to-one support. So their name goes on that sheet once they're referred by the teacher, and we kind of track those interventions that are taking place primarily with the restorative practice coach. But our staff that mans or that works in the learning lab rotates depending on the day. So we have a rotating staff member that stays in the learning lab, but the other staff are stationed throughout the building to also offer support for additional students who come in. The next slide, please, Diane. All right, number 2, grade tracking and positive reinforcement. I mentioned target time. We also do random grade reports, and the great thing about that is when we do those reports, we also have the random bracelets that we will provide for kids. So we'll do what we call an honor roll bracelet, and we do a random report, and any student who has a C or better in all of their classes, they qualify for one of these rubber, I should have grabbed a bracelet. They're rubber bracelets, and they say they're on a roll. And what we found is that, people, not just kids. I like to get little trinkets and little gifts, and it's just a nice positive reinforcer to let the kids know, like, we see you. We know that you're taking care of your business. So those are the random grade reports. Through CPC, which is known as Impact Hour at Ferndale High School, we do the weekly grade reports. I mentioned the wristband program, which is associated with the random grade reports. We also do random mailings of post reports home throughout the year. So students never know if they're going to get a progress report off schedule. And we do postcards to support and encourage. We've got you, you've got this, we miss you. So we do intermittent mailings of postcards home, just to let kids know that, you know, we missed them this year and we're thinking about them. Next slide, please. Enhanced student and family communication. The videos home to students is a new thing this year. One of my goals this year was to increase my virtual presence. I don't mind talking and doing things in person. I've grown this year in doing it through videos. So I send the videos home to the students. Weekly attendance call to parents regarding attendance concerns or academic concerns. We do also, some students and some families have expressed that they feel overwhelmed with the volume of communication. So again, they let us know that, and we assign one staff member to be their point person, because I mean, I think all of us have become just inundated with the number of electronic communications, and you know, and we let parents know that's okay, you know, that we understand that, and we assign one person. You know, we talk to them. Is it all right if we have just one staff person contact you? And we haven't had a parent that says no. You know, they're usually okay with that, and so we can continue the communication while also being responsive to the parents and the family's needs. We have our Pathways to Potential success coach who helps students who are struggling, you know, with attendance. So she does some calls and has some meetings with them to support them and find out what support she can offer. And then we have our grad support coach, our college transition specialist, who we've changed the name a few times, so forgive me if I use different names for Mr. Royal. But he also logs student academic concerns and offers with support. Like, he is primarily support for our senior students to make sure that they are on track with their credits as they approach graduation. Because one thing that we don't like to even, we can't let seniors, you know, fall through the cracks. So we make sure that he is focused explicitly on seniors and making sure that they are up to speed and keeping everyone informed of their graduation status. Next slide, please. Programming, the SEL support that we offer through our restorative practice coach, through our programming, even through, you know, our, I don't even like to use the D word, but the way that we engage in discipline. The UHS introduction, first 4 days was different this year because we had to do it virtually. But again, we UHS'd it, and we were able to do that community building on each of the first 4 days. We set up a system where parents could come through safely, you know, under the COVID restrictions and guidelines. So we were able to do a variation of those first 4 days, which is important, especially for new students and freshman students who are just starting out high school. We have grade-specific supports for each class that we offer. So the first 4 days programming looks different for each grade level because, of course, seniors are going to need something different than freshmen, who are going to need something different than juniors, who need something different than sophomores. The team building activities, again, because a lot of kids are just meeting one another or they're coming back, especially after such a long break. We provided tech training in preparation for virtual learning, which was huge. I think all of us have become almost experts in tech support. We all learned a lot of things, and we were able to pass that learning on to our students. I mean, not just during the first 4 days, but throughout the first semester. And I kind of gauged our level of success with that based off the volume of tech support questions and calls that we all got after so long. So maybe for the first month, maybe 6 weeks, we had a high volume of tech support calls, and then those gradually fell off. You know, so that kind of speaks to the level of information that we were able to provide. And we also distributed educational supplies so they could come in and pick those things up. And that, again, is ongoing. You know, like, we don't turn that off. I mean, Chromebooks, whatever students need, you know, always tell them just reach out. You know, we don't ask questions. You know, we just provide whatever they ask for. Next slide, please, Tanya. The We Got You initiative. We've rolled out a few things this year. One of the things we did when we did picture days, we gave away laptop backpacks. We do winter hats. We've done masks. We've done pedometers. We got stuff still stacked up that we're going to give out as we go out throughout the year. The postcards that we send home, like I mentioned before, we're proud of you. We're thinking of you. We miss you. The pop-ups, I can't wait till we can get back to the pop-ups. Those were so fun in the fall. It kind of worked out that it's gotten so cold, so we can't really do them outside. But we did a haunted homecoming this year instead of a traditional homecoming. We did our annual popsicles with the principals, which wasn't a huge change because we typically do that outside when we first come back when it's still warm. And again, the target time, among some other things. Next slide, please. Social emotional emphasis, again, we've adjusted CPC. CPC kind of changes depending on student needs year to year. So this year with the virtual learning environment again, and a huge gap since we've last seen students on campus, we really wanted to focus on some social emotional learning activities to support students. Again, I mentioned the enhanced role of our school social worker and regular virtual check-ins throughout the school day. I mean, every class when I'm doing my pop-ins, you hear teachers checking in with students, asking how everybody's doing. There's that check-in that happens usually at the door. That happens the first few minutes of class. Next slide, please, Diane. All right, positive relationships, again, that R word. Fostering strong relationship between students and staff to proactively facilitate a strong culture. You know, there's a video that I think we've all seen at one point where the point is made that kids don't learn from teachers that they don't like. And I think that, I mean, that's a safe, it's not even an assumption, it's a safe point to make. So we try to make sure that we have, it's not that they have to necessarily like one another, but we have to have a positive relationship in order to foster the strong culture. Clear expectations school-wide. We make it very clear. There's no mystery. Clear is kind. You know, all of us like to be communicated with clearly. I mean, I hope I'm not out of line speaking for everyone here, but it makes it easier to do what's expected if those expectations are made clear. And we make those expectations clear and consistently, and we do it in a kind way. And then our staff. I mean, our staff relationships are fostered through flexible PLCs. You know, we coach one another. Everybody's coachable. I'm learning so much this year about Chrome extensions from the staff because in my time of teaching, there was no Google Classroom. And I mean, some of the things that the staff has shown one another and rolled out, I mean, I've seen some amazing things. So I'm very happy and just very proud of the relationship that the staff have, the mentoring, the social and leadership for all is a big emphasis at UHS. So there's a shared leadership initiative. It doesn't matter if you're a first-year teacher. If you have something that you want to present and coach on, you'll have that opportunity if you want it. Next slide, please, Diane. And student survey action plans, institutional responses to student needs, and programming to meet identified gaps. We ask, and then we respond. We don't have a way that we've always done it. The way that we've always done it is to know that we either, you know, adapt and survive, or we stay the same, and who knows what happens then. So we don't like to leave those things up to chance. So we're responsive, and our programming is to meet the gaps that we've identified in our student population. Next slide. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. That was very impressive. I don't have any specific questions right now, but I always appreciate the energy and diligence that you bring to our district.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gardner. As usual, you and the UHS staff do great work, and we appreciate your leadership, especially during this time, and the continuation of deliverables related to the strategic plan are still at the forefront of the work that you're doing. And we appreciate that diligence and making sure that we stick to what we said we were gonna do. So we appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner, for the amazing work and all the work that's being done by you and your staff. That brings us to item 6, board appreciation.
I'm going to keep this relatively short. We sent our board appreciation. Ms. Shepard made sure that was sent out to the board. We wish, again, we could do it in person, but it's just not, it's not in our cards. I just want to take a moment and, you know, on behalf of the teachers, the staff, the administrators, the community, to thank the Board of Education for their work. As we know, this is a difficult job without a pandemic, and it's even a more difficult job with a pandemic. And each of you do this job really out of your love and dedication to Ferndale Public Schools. It's not a paid position, right? It's something that you do out of the goodness of your heart, really. So I just want to very quickly thank each board member individually. Mike Davison obviously is in our heart, dealing with loss today. But Mike, I think we can all agree, is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. A family person who's dedicated to Ferndale Public Schools as a parent and as a board member, and has served tirelessly on behalf of this district. Sandra, you bring passion, you push our thinking, you push us all towards excellence. You work in the field of education. You are a board member, you're a parent, you're balancing your life passions, and it's really a pleasure to see you go after what it is that you want to in life while supporting the district you grew up in. You're Ferndale through and through, and we appreciate all your efforts and hard work. Jen, I'm not gonna lie, I love your legal expertise. It's so nice to have an attorney on the school board. But beyond that, as a human being, you're just cool, calm, and collective. Things don't rattle you. You make us feel good on the worst day by just a quick conversation. And you and your family add so much value to our district by always willing to go above and beyond. Jackie, you've been in my 3 years, and with so many others, a thought partner, really somebody who's willing to give up their own personal time to be a thought partner and committed to the work of equity as, you know, for Ferndale Public Schools. It was a pleasure co-presenting with you at MASB, and I look forward to doing that more often. But I thank you for, again, your thoughtful, technical expertise that you bring to the board. Jim, you are a wealth of knowledge. You are now the most senior board member on the Board of Education, and that's a title you took from Nan, and that's some hard shoes to fill. So we thank you, though, again, for your exceptional knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order and the Open Meetings Act and other things, but just for your commitment to Ferndale Public Schools, your love for the district. We appreciate you. Anna, I love the fact that you worked both in the private industry as well as an educator. You make us have a balanced perspective in how we approach our jobs. And yours as well as your family's thoughtfulness, kindness, and service is appreciated. And I'm never gonna let you forget this, but when you interviewed for the board, you said that, you know, you've always wanted to hold a superintendent's feet to the fire, and you sure have. So in a good way, but I'll remember that till the day I retire. Sarah, you thought, hey, I'm gonna run for the school board during a pandemic. That takes courage. That takes a real dedication to Ferndale Public Schools. You came in January 1st, and it's certainly been an interesting first 3 weeks. But I know we'll get through this, and we appreciate you willing to sacrifice a lot personally to be able to give the district your time and expertise and help us navigate forward. So thank you to the Board of Education on behalf of the staff, families, and administration. We are eternally grateful for each of you.
Thank you, Danya. That brings us to item 7, public comment. This is a time for public participation in the meeting. The Board of Education intends for the public to have many opportunities to address the board and administration of the school district. This includes email, phone calls, face-to-face meetings, community gatherings, public hearings, and other public meetings. We welcome individual and group input into the important issues that confront our schools. As noted, this is a meeting of the school board open to the public. We want to provide fair and impartial guidelines for participation as required by the Open Meetings Act and to encourage transparency and equal treatment for everyone in attendance. We also recognize that an effective meeting facilitates better decision and promotes openness by allowing more people to stay for the full length of the meeting. To meet these goals, please note the following. We ask that you identify yourself, and if you would like the district to respond to your comment, please email Dr. Bazzi's assistant, Kimberly Shepard, at kimberly.shepard@ferndaleschools.org. Each person will have one opportunity to address the board for up to 3 minutes. The secretary, Jackie Hart, will give you a warning when your time is within a few seconds of expiring. This period of public comments is for both non-agenda items and issues that are on the agenda. Public comments will end at the close of this part of the agenda. In the event that the number of people wishing to comment requires longer than 30 minutes, public comment will be temporarily postponed after 30 minutes and time will be added to the end of the meeting for those who didn't get a chance to speak. Complaints about staff should be made outside of board meetings and should follow the applicable board policy. Please contact the superintendent's office if you have any questions regarding this item. The board cannot respond to complaints about employees in public. This is meant to promote fairness to the staff person and the complainant. The Ferndale Public Schools community acts with great civility towards one another. Please help us maintain that tradition during public comment. And before we open up public comment, we're gonna try something a little different today. I'm gonna alternate between calling on staff and parents, just to make sure that we get an equal balance of people speaking. And if Maurice Tellisford is here, I'd like him to go first.
Hi, I'm here. This is Maurice. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm Maurice Tellisford. I'm the president of the Ferndale Education Association. And, you know, at the last board meeting, a lot of teachers were really heartened to hear so many board members express a desire to give teachers time to get vaccinated before we return to school. We are very appreciative of the caution and seriousness that our board has treated this entire pandemic and really preserving safety and valuing lives while also trying to provide the optimal learning experience for our students in this pandemic. So I just we did a survey to collect a little data about where our teachers are. So we've been vigorously encouraging people to get the vaccine or try to schedule appointments if they want to have it. And it looks like about 70% of our members will have the vaccine by March 9th. And we know there's a 2-week window before it's fully effective. So looking just at a calendar, March 22nd looks like a day where we're reasonably confident that 70 to 73% will have the vaccine. And there were another wave of appointments that just came out, so maybe it'll be even higher. Our 2 asks that are pretty big is that the board allow teachers time to get the vaccine and that we have social distancing be a part of whatever the plan is that we ultimately implement. We aren't asking that we recreate a new plan. We know that as the numbers come in, there will be changes and modifications. What we do ask is that the administration take a little more time and have some town hall meetings or something equivalent where they get more input and not just input, but also have a chance to address concerns, explain thinking directly to teachers and staff throughout the district. So this is different than bargaining where the FEA is sort of the sole beacon or avenue to communicate to the administration. In this instance, we feel there's opportunities and space for administration to reach out directly to subsets of teachers. And the second thing is we really are worried about our capacity as a district to maintain cleanliness at the highest level necessary under this pandemic. So in our survey, and the data was shared with the board, about 3/4 of teachers said we're not very confident at all that we have enough custodial support to clean buildings during the pandemic. And there are many ways we can sort of troubleshoot that, but that's something we wanted to put on the radar of the board. And lastly, we really feel like we have, oh, I'm sorry, I can't see hands. So was that a time warning?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, no problem. So we really want to make sure we protect our most vulnerable staff. We're worried we will lose teachers to resignations if they're forced to come back without the vaccine. And lastly, I think I've taught half of the board members' children or coached them in sports. So we just ask administration maybe not speak for the FEA as much as we heard at the last meeting. And if the board has any questions, so please just reach out to us directly, and I'm happy to answer. And I'll be on the call tonight until the board meeting ends. So feel free to direct any questions to me, and I can respond verbally or through email. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tulliford. I see that Bridget Hall has her hand up.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay. Hi, nice seeing everyone, some familiar faces and everything. So I'm Bridget Hall, president of Friends of Royal Oak Township Incorporated, a 501c3 volunteer-driven nonprofit community corporation. And to our knowledge, we are one of the few community-based organizations that operates consistently in Royal Oak Township. We recently celebrated 10 years of providing services and activities based on our founding pillars and program components, consisting of health and wellness, culture promotion, urban agriculture, and historical preservation. So we have been engaged in providing those services and activities to address the needs of Royal Oak Township, which has historically been plagued by a lack of programs and community engagement. Our primary catchment area is Royal Oak Township and the contiguous communities of Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb. And based on our annual calendar, we deliver those programs in concert with our 4 components. So as we are currently engaged in a historical preservation project to place a marker at the former site of Ulysses S. Grant Elementary School, we come before this body today seeking a letter of approval to advance the application process to the State of Michigan Department of Historical Preservation. This application process is approximately a year long, and Friends of Royal Oak Township will be responsible for the year-long application process and all fees associated with the process and ongoing maintenance of the marker. Upon the State of Michigan approval, Ferndale Public School District and the community representatives will be invited to participate in a marker installation ceremony at a date to be determined. Your letter can be forwarded to Dr. Shaken Baki, who is Farad Vice President and Executive Director. His email address is cmbake@forot.org. And if you desire any additional information about the organization, you can go to our website, which is www.forot.org. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Bridget. Is there a teacher who would like to speak? Oh, sorry, Jim.
Can I just ask a quick question? Does Dr. Bazzi, do you have Ms. Hall's contact info?
The meeting is being recorded. I was going to go back to email. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get it in time.
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a teacher that would like to speak next?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
All right. Hey, once again, I am Ian Grezik, and I'm a 4th grade teacher at Fuel. Thank you for taking the time to hear us out. If you recall, the last board meeting was my first time speaking to you because of how important the topic is. Well, I'm back to stress that the topic of pausing the Return to Learn plan is just as important as last meeting. I'm going to speak openly and honestly tonight. As you discuss the possibility of returning to in-person learning, I want to urge you to continue to make the safe and thoughtful decisions that you have been making as a board. You have put the safety of all stakeholders first, and that is what needs to be done. Please remember that students are succeeding in class each and every day. Stop by my virtual classroom anytime to witness my students building relationships and deepening their knowledge of the curriculum. As I'm sure you know, the COVID-19 numbers are still out of control and far above the numbers set forth in your metric. Also, new strains of COVID are being discovered and that are more infectious than the already known strains, and new information is coming out that children transmit COVID-19 more than previously thought. All of this data suggests that holding off on setting a date is the correct move. As Governor Whitmer opens up restaurants on February 1st, we will also see a huge increase in cases, which will end up impacting our students and our schools. As for our schools, I am hurt that teachers are potentially going to be asked to clean our classrooms. Now, for many, this doesn't seem like a big issue, but when you spend a whole day teaching 27 students, you're exhausted, mentally and physically. When will I clean? In between in-person learning and virtual learning? Shouldn't that time be spent eating lunch and preparing to teach my students virtually? Lastly, Our buildings are not prepared to be safe in combating a deadly virus. My first issue is that the custodial staff is not equipped to clean a school appropriately. In the fall and winter of last school year, there were many days when custodians wouldn't even show up for work. There are many days when my classroom can't even get a trash can emptied, and we are supposed to put our lives in their hands, hoping that they show up to work and follow a strict cleaning schedule. That makes me very nervous. The district has had over 4 months to practice a cleaning routine since FECC has been in person since the start of the year. If you have any questions about what is currently being done there, please reach out to FECC teachers to get an honest idea of what has been done since September. Other things that will impact a return to school plan is my classroom's blower only works when the lights are on, but I leave the lights off to help keep a calming atmosphere for my students. I will have one window and no ability for a cross breeze.
30 seconds.
My classroom in particular is very small due to the perimeter being lined with cabinets, so 6 feet for social distancing is not possible. I know they say to move it to 3 feet, but does that ever stop? Do we just jam the students in to make sure we have enough money from the state? Please make this decision with human lives in mind, not the monetary value that comes with those lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Carla Bruckman.
Hi, hold on, let me get my camera. Hi, I'm Carla Breckman. I want to speak as both a parent and a teacher myself in Southern Macomb County in favor of having the option of in-person schooling. Currently, I teach virtual and face-to-face at the same time, and I believe that it can be done safely. First, as a parent, the stress levels and anxiety levels from my kids, despite them doing well in class and keeping up good grades, that's only one part of them as children. There is the internal part as well, which is definitely suffering. I worry about the kids who do not have the support at home every day as well. As a teacher, we were virtual for a while and then went back face to face. Those, we probably only had about 30% return face to face, but from those few face to face interactions before we had to close again, the connections that I made with some of the students were quite amazing compared to just staring at blank screens every day. I had learned about a kid on his bowling team and all about his practice and what he was doing. I also had a student tell me right before Christmas about how her mother was taken away from a very violent death just a year or two before, and she very much was dreading the holidays. My district has been very strict with masks. High schoolers definitely don't like to follow the rules, but the kids understand that it's a privilege to be there more than any other time. And the kids who are there because they want to be. So I've had zero discipline problems so far. In my meetings, I sit and I talk Spanish to blank screens and hope that maybe one or two people talk back. Even though it might seem that I'm speaking about their education, I'm speaking more about their connection. Many students have checked out of what is going on right now.
30 seconds.
I believe that kids need to be in school, not because parents need babysitters, not because they're falling behind some sort of imaginary level of achievement, but school is a community. And much of what Mr. Gardner was saying about the connections that the kids and relationships with the teachers, that these kids are really craving that community. And I believe that having some in-person school can help them. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a staff member, teacher who would like to go next?
I can talk. So my name is Catherine Gerns. I am a self-contained teacher at Ferndale Middle and High School. Thank you and happy Board Appreciation Month. We are so thankful for everything you do and for allowing us to speak. So I am talking about the return to in-person plan, but my concerns are going to be focused on the cleanliness and the cleaning regimens. I have been in person since September with my students, and when we came in, we had a set of guidelines that we were worried about. We were worried about the virus spreading. We were worried about things being wiped down, the ability to get materials once things have run out. I'm going to speak to my truth, which is what I have seen and what I have experienced. If there are things going on beyond what I see, that is absolutely possible, but I can only speak my truth. And my truth is that I am very concerned moving forward with the ability to maintain all of the classrooms that we want to open. From my perspective and what I was told, the facilities would be fogged, especially the classrooms that would be in use, at least every other day. So I am in person on Mondays and Wednesdays. We were told that the classrooms would be fogged on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Since September, I have seen evidence of about 4 or 5 actual fogging days. So that is 4 or 5 days since September. That is way less than the every other day that we were told. If it is happening without my knowledge, obviously that is a different story. I am only telling you what I have seen. Furthermore, when I was in the classroom, and I stay late because I teach both in person and online at the same time, what I have witnessed is staff coming in, taking out the trash, sweeping what they see, and leaving. I don't see any evidence of wiping down the tables. I do not see any evidence of wiping down chairs or ensuring that things are sanitized for the next day. Now, obviously, if things are happening later on in the night, that is beyond my knowledge, but I'm typically there until about 5 or 6 p.m. at night some days, and that is what I have witnessed, is them coming in and leaving and not doing any of the guidelines that were set in place. Moving forward, I do agree that we need to come back in person, that timeline being flexible and dependent on what the staff feels is comfortable, but I think something that would help the peace of mind of staff is ensuring that those cleaning procedures are in place and they are very clearly outlined to staff.
20
Whether
seconds.
whether that is checkpoints on the each classroom, marking if the classroom was fogged, wiped down, whatever, some accountability, or whether that is a very clear guideline with consequences when they are not followed. Something needs to happen because I'm in person every day and I still do not feel comfortable in the classroom because I am not sure the state of my classroom when I come in the next day. Thank you for hearing me out and for having that in mind, and I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Thank you, Ms. Kearns. Heidi West.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Heidi West, and I'm a parent of a second grader at Fuel and also a member of the Ferndale Diversity Committee for the district. And I'm just here to, as a parent, I agree with holding off on a date for the return to in-person learning. I know that some parents, it's stressful to not know, but I think during this time, I feel like a lot, it's everything's unknown, and I just want to thank you for your commitment, the board, and for your commitment so far to our students' safety. I know it's a difficult decision, and no one expected that this would last this long. But I respect the teacher's decision to want to be vaccinated. I'm a teacher myself, so I can understand that as well. And of course, I agree that this is not the best situation. My son has, special needs. He has an IEP. This has been a challenge. It really has been, but safety first. And I just appreciate your commitment to continuing to look at the levels, and especially with, like the teacher said, with the new knowledge that the new variants, that a mask may not even be enough to protect us anymore. One mask, they're saying that we should wear 2 masks now. There's just so many unknowns. and the knowledge that children are now spreading this more than we thought. I just think there are just too many unknowns still right now. And I appreciate all that you've done to keep us safe. So thank you. And I
Thank you,
yield the
Heidi.
rest of my time.
Thank you, Heidi. Is there a teacher who would like to go next? Okay, Crystal?
Hi, I'm Crystal Brock. I'm part of the Diversity Committee, Vice President for the Elementary PTA for Upper, as well as parent, ex-para of Ferndale Public School System, ex-substitute of Ferndale Public School System, as well as many other schools that I've worked in. So one, I just want to kind of say that the conversation to me is a little mute, especially with the January 13th orders giving local districts the opportunity of choice. It's strictly based on choice. You can choose to open, you can choose to stay closed, and just familiarize yourself with the new orders. With that being said, I want to know what amendment and changes are going to be made so that parents can have knowledge to make their own choices and decisions of what their next moves are going to be. Mainly, will the resolution, the board's resolution that we initially came out with, will that be amended to include now all of these new extras that's being added that was never considered? A vaccine that we never had in the beginning, that now we're like, oh wait, we can't do anything because everyone has to get vaccinated when it was never a factor. Is that going to be now put as part of our plan? So yes, I'm asking for that to be amended so parents aren't looking at old, outdated information. As well as this resolution is supposed to be on our website displayed. Number 4 on page 2, if you look at the board packet that it's originally put in, page 127, it says, page 2, number 4, the superintendent or designee is directed to post a copy of this resolution on the district's website, where board policies and guidelines are posted, and at other locations the superintendent sees fit. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I expected, since this is like one of our top issues, to be right under the board's resolution for racism, so that parents can easily click on it, see what's updated, and honestly, it needs to be updated based on the discussion and everything that's going on. And as an ex-para, I kind of take maybe the para's roles, risking lower level employees over other employees and what they do, because I remember cleaning many a desk. I remember disinfecting. I remember working pregnant as the teacher allowed a child with scarlet fever. And so, I understand your worries and your fears, African-American. I kind of take a hit to being a very prominent president, especially since I was the vice president of Upper, still the vice president of Upper, being a very present person in Upper's building, seeing the same 2 janitorial staff, women, African-American, in that building cleaning.
30 seconds.
So I know all of you who can afford to stay home, who can afford maybe special care, who can afford to sit on your high horse and then judge those, feel free. But I've been that person you're talking about, who's been a volunteer, an alumni, 2 degrees, and then some. I take offense. I've cleaned the classroom for the teacher. And for you to say the fact that you don't want to clean your own classroom, but you expect the para to clean the classroom, wow. Maybe their role should be their role and their pay.
Crystal, I want to remind you of our civility pledge.
Thank you, yes. But that's just, it's an offense. Thank you.
Is there a teacher on who would like to speak? Okay, and then this will be the last comment until the end of the meeting. If there's more, Susan Burt.
Hello, let me see if I can get my microphone on. Or no, my video. Okay, okay, I'm here. Hi. Hey everyone, I just want to speak in favor of returning to the classroom. I think that it's time, and I understand everybody's concerns. Quite frankly, I work in a hospital. So I do get it. I do, and the concerns are valid from all accounts. People who are afraid, people who want to return, all of it's valid actually. But I just want to, I'm happy to share our cleaning protocols with you. If you want to talk, give me a call, privately. I'm happy to share with you what we do. And I'm also here to tell you that what we do is we clean our own workstations as well. So I think it's a little different when you have, 20 desks or 30 desks that you have to clean. That's going to definitely take more time, but obviously you'd get the kids involved, right? But we do have to clean our own workstations. We do have to take some of that on ourselves. And that's just for our own safety as well, right? However, if you look at a lot of the data, it's really transmitted now, we understand, through the air and through aerosols. It's not so much by touch. However, it is important to be cleanly in general, right? We're going to reduce transmission of other things if we are clean.
This video play. I don't know. I got it. What they say.
Yeah, but hello. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm not sure how long I was muted for, but I just want to speak in favor of returning to the classroom. My son needs to be back in school, quite frankly. And I think there's anything I can do to help or assist or make people feel more comfortable, I'm happy to do that. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. So at this time, we will suspend public comment to the end of the meeting if there's anyone else who wants to speak. And move on to agenda item 8, the consent agenda. The consent agenda, item 8.1, request to approve minutes of the regular meeting December 14th, 2020. 8.2, request to approve minutes of the annual organization meeting January 4th, 2021. 8.3, request to approve minutes of special meeting January 11th, 2021. 8.4, request to approve bills and accounts December. 8.5, request to approve resignations and new hires. And item 8.6, the request to approve Head Start's director's report. Are there any consent agenda items that members of the boards wish to pull from the consent agenda for questions or discussions later?
No.
Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Jim.
I'll second.
Seconded by Jackie. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Turk.
Yes.
Hart.
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
Latash.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes. With 6 votes, thank you. The motion passes and the consent agenda is approved. That moves us to item 9, action. Item 9, action agenda items. So 9.1, the extended COVID-19 learning plan.
So before I hand this over to Johanna Marekna, our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, each month that, during the pandemic, we're required by law to certify our equal plan that basically explains how we're going to deliver instruction for the district. So at this point, this month is no different than December. It basically says at this point that we will continue on with the current plan. So this again is separate than the return to in-person specific plan that the board approved at the last meeting. Just to share a little bit, in Oakland County, we're currently at about 5.9% positivity within the county. We're about close to about 139 per million new cases. So we're getting, things have been steadily improving. The risk level is dramatically lower over the past 2 weeks, but it tends to be a 21-day average. So currently right now, as a county, as of January 22nd, the way that the Michigan Safe Start map is looking at things, it's still at a level E currently within the time. As soon as we get to about 5% positivity, we'll start to probably see some changes in the metric, as well as getting down to the 70 to 100 per million cases. So that's kind of where the data is at as of today. I'm going to hand it over to Johanna to explain the ECOL plan, and I'll share my screen.
Good evening. I don't have too much to share. Every month we submit this plan to the state through our it's called CEPI, which is the sort of a clearinghouse for state documents. So we have put through last month's, and we'll put through this one after it's approved tonight. You'll see a list of comments from the last 2 meetings that are listed for reference that are related to returning to in-person learning. And at the end of the document, you'll see a review of our 2-way interaction rates. You can see there's about a 10% drop from the previous month's submission. Anytime we have a school break, there are always patterns of less attendance before and after a school break. Sometimes those are due to families extending vacations. Sometimes they're due to parents allowing their children to have a longer break at home. But that is a typical pattern that we see every year, whether we're in school or not in-person learning. So that's all I have for the plan. So if it's approved, we'll be posting it to the website and then applying for the certificate from the state for the month.
I'll entertain a motion to approve item 9.1, extended COVID learning plan.
I'll move.
Moved by Jen.
I'll second.
Second by Sarah. Any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to speak. So I do, I know this is somewhat separate from, it's only somewhat separate from our return to hybrid, in-person, and remote learning plan. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, a little bit more about how we make decisions and some of the metrics that we're using. But I think I start out thinking about what our main responsibility is as trustees of the community to provide public education. And it seems pretty clear that one of the foundational elements for me is always trying to do what's best for all students. And that many of our students do need to be back in person. And I think that is something that is guiding a lot of my my thinking. I think, I'm hoping that we'll be able to have a special meeting maybe next week and have a more robust discussion on when to set a date. As I see it, we have 3 key responsibilities. We adopted a plan, which we did 2 weeks ago. We have to set a date that will begin returning to school, and to the extent that there are any discussions, in terms of collective bargaining that we need to approve, then we would need to approve those when they're presented to us. And I recognize that none of the decisions that we make is made with perfect information. And certainly this is no different, but the sort of where things are headed are we have state and federal leaders saying it's time to return. The president said that strongly today. The governor, the chief medical officer have said that. Public health leaders are saying that. the trends that we see in the data and the MI startmap.info that you can drill down on the county. What's great about that website, the letter grades, we're not supposed to use those for schools anymore, but you can see the trends and sort of see where things are headed on a number of different levels. And the state has released their key metrics of case rates and positivity rates and hospital capacity. And in all three, the trends are improving. Cases are going down, positivity rates are going down, and the number of hospital beds occupied by COVID patients are going down. We're going to have restaurants opening, yes, but I think schools are more important to open than restaurants. I think our administrators have done a great job creating a remote plan this year. They've done the same thing with the hybrid plan that we approved. And I also listened to, the concerns of teachers, the concerns of parents. We take all of that into consideration when we make our decision. But most importantly, with teacher concerns, the board doesn't directly deal with employee relations with anybody except the superintendent. We work with teachers really through the union and through the superintendent and her team. And we'll continue to do that in good faith. And if we have things to bargain or things to negotiate with them, then we should, we'll hold a closed session to discuss that, I think, and move from there. In terms of the metrics, we do have an old out-of-date metric that we adopted in November. But I also, somebody brought this up in public comment, I think it was Crystal Brock. Vaccination is a good thing, but vaccination rate is not a metric for any return plan that I'm aware of. And I would hesitate to adopt that as one key decision-making metric. But I do think, the dates that that we were on a very high level talking about before, and the dates that I've seen other places working with, it's reasonable that a vast number of our teachers will be protected with vaccine by the time we're returning in more significant numbers. Fundamentally, I'm worried most of all about student mental health and the reports that I've seen really from different places around the country of severe student mental health crises that are related to remote learning. I worry about losing the support of parents and community members. And I think we can make returning to school reasonably safe with masks, with distancing, protocols which may need help, which we may need some work on rather. And I hope that we can reach a decision, even if it is not the optimal one that I would like. I think just reaching a decision and letting parents know where we're headed is an important thing that we'll need to do in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else?
Sandra, if I could say something. And I do appreciate all of the comments. There are certainly complexities to any plan that has students, returning to school in our current state with being virtual for close to 1 year. We're committed to working through those issues with our staff. We're committed to, we understand that no perfect plan, but ultimately right now, we are seeing a number of our students who need to be in person. Their families are requesting an option to be in person. I'm thinking a year, 2 years down the line in terms of how we best support our community and how we best address the needs that are taking place now, but will have longitudinal impact, whether that's student experience, whether that's student enrollment. There's a large portion of our community who want to return. It's consistent in Oakland and Wayne County that a number of schools, the majority, have some sort of return to in-person date established to return in a safe way. As I said, there's certainly things we have to get better, and the pandemic has caused certain employment issues due to the pandemic, and those are things that we're committed to working through. Once we have a date. Once we have a date, we'll be able to then use some of our ESSER and COVID fund to address some of these concerns. But unfortunately, there's no perfect solution to this. We can't eliminate risk, we can minimize it. Usually we, at Ferndale schools, what I've learned about working with the administration and the teachers is that usually we can figure a way to get to a consensus. We always figure a way to do what we know to be best. In this situation, as one of the parents eloquently said, everybody's right? Everybody's concern is valid. There's concerns though from multiple perspectives, and really our job as a district is to hear those and to make a decision that's balanced based on ultimately, what's in the best interests for all of us moving forward as a school family, as a school community. I do agree with Jim. I think it is time with hopefully the data continuing to improve. As Mr. Telford stated, currently the data he shared showed us 65% have an appointment for the vaccine, which is great. I'm glad that people are being able to get those appointments. So I do appreciate everybody's hard work, and I appreciate and empathetic to the challenge that we're all facing. I'm sure many of us are making the same decisions within our own families, and there's no easy solution. So that's where I'm at with regards to moving forward.
Thank you, Dr. Bazey. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Elturk,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. With 6 yes votes, the motion passes and the request to approve item 9.1, the extended COVID learning plan, is approved. Item 9.2, request to approve school of choice window for 2021-2022.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Danya.
No, I was just going to say, handing it off to Bill Good and just going to share my screen, but it's all you, Bill.
Sure. So we're coming to the board a little bit earlier for the school choice discussion than we do typically. This happens at the late February meeting after February break. And over the last 5 years or so, we typically would start our school choice window in the middle of March. Due to the great uncertainty that's going on right now with enrollment across the country, really, that there's unfortunately, there's a national epidemic of missing children. There was a great story on 60 Minutes not too long ago about it. And it's students that are just simply not enrolled in school anywhere. And so just about every district in Oakland County is suffering from this, as well as throughout the state of Michigan. So what we're looking to ask the board is that we would continue our typical school of choice window, but extend it by a month. And it would start on February 9th. This would allow us to start to enroll school of choice students during the kindergarten open house, which is also on February 9th. Because it's virtual this year, this would allow us again to share the link to begin the enrollment process online and really start to create a pipeline right into the enrollment system for as many students as we can. One of my big concerns, just being perfectly honest, is because every school district is down in enrollment this year, there will be more school districts than usual involved in school of choice than there are in the past. And so there will be greater competition. I really hate to use that word, but unfortunately it's the situation that we're in. And so there will be other school districts that typically aren't as involved in school of choice with longer windows And I think it would be in our best interest to be open as early as possible to allow us to not miss out on any potential students who are interested in Ferndale schools. What Danya's pulled up here is this is something that I provide to her on a weekly basis during the school year. And so what this is since you can see since 2016, where we are with our enrollment week by week. So this is up through June 26th. And you can see on the screen that, you know, if you just concentrate on the school choice number, you can see where the different numbers are through June 26th. So I know there's always some concern of potentially having too many students and not enough space. Because we were down over last year by a little over 100 students, even if we went up in school of choice and had more than we would typically get in a typical year through June 30th, I wouldn't see it being a considerable number. And again, I wouldn't see it being much higher than our 2019 number. And that would be if we're having a very, very, very good year. And so I really don't think overpopulation would be a concern. Again, I don't think we'd be running out of space, so to speak, if that was a concern of the board. Again, this is really just trying to maximize our ability to get as many students as we can and to meet them when they're ready to enroll, to have an opportunity to enroll them and get the process started. So our suggestion would be pretty typical to what we normally do, which is would be February 9th through June 30th. Unlimited students kindergarten through 10th grade for Oakland County only. And then at University High School and the Tri-County Education Center, they would follow their typical window as well, opening a little bit earlier this year with the rest of the district on February 9th and extending into the first week of the school year. So that's what we're proposing, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board has.
One thing to note is we just received our fall certified count, and we're just under 2,900. Last spring, we ended the year at about 3,070 or 3,060, I believe. So we've seen significant decline due to many factors. Obviously, we were assisted with the super blend count for this year and hoping for some relief from the state legislator into next year. But in terms of the overpopulation, I just wanted to speak to that a little bit. Obviously, a significant number of our loss were families who kind of redshirted the kindergarten year, saying that we'll put our kids into kindergarten next year. So I'm not overly concerned about that, but that is something as well that we have to consider.
Yeah, the biggest concern that I have is if you look at our previous years, we could, looking at our historical numbers month by month, we could forecast with a high degree of certainty based on the amount of advertising that we would do, where our numbers would come in. This year, it's just a big shoulder shrug. I mean, we just simply don't know. And again, if there's a big issue again with the vaccine, with vaccine availability, or if there's a weird, COVID variant, I mean, who knows? I mean, after 2020, who knows what's coming next? So we just want to make sure that as a district, we're in the best position we can to capture as many students as we can to make sure that, we're in the best position as possible. Also, just to give the board a little bit more into our enrollment strategy, a little more insight into that, our goal is to do a little bit more advertising than we traditionally do as early in the window as we can, with the hope of driving as many of the enrollments into the early part of the window. That way, as we get into the budgeting season in May and June, we can see how many folks we have enrolled, and that kind of will give the board and the administration as good a look at as possible while trying to forecast for budgeting for next year as well.
I do have a question that, Danya, you kind of touched on, just about the kindergarten, because I know even where I work, like the kindergarten class was like really low. Mm-hmm. And expecting like kindergarten next year to be like, really large if we're in person, and including schools of choice. Will we be able to accommodate an unusually large kindergarten group?
I believe so, because we're probably going to see a smaller first grade classroom. It is true that Ferndale Lower is tight, as is in terms of classroom spaces, like the number of classrooms available. But I believe because the shift, we're probably going to have to, who knows where the staffing is going to be but we might have to have first grade teachers go down to kindergarten or make other shifts that the principal deemed necessary.
Yeah, and something else to keep in mind as well, all of our early enrollment indicators last year, which I know it's just kind of hard to think about because it was like, we had kindergarten open house and then boom, pandemic. But all of our early enrollment indicators were having us tracking towards around 175 to 200 kindergarten students. We ended up with around 140. So there's a strong possibility that we're going to have 60 new first graders this year. As well. And so again, but we just don't know. I mean, we don't know if those students or those families are going to come back and request kindergarten. We don't know if they're going to want to go into first grade. We don't know if they're going to choose another district. We don't know if they've moved. I mean, we just don't know. There's been so much unknown in the system now that it's really hard to forecast anything.
Thank you, Bill. I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.2, request to approve school of choice window for 2021-22.
Sandra, can I ask one more question? Sorry. Numbers, obviously, we have no idea. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's even going to happen come fall of next year, whether we're still going to be reduced number of social distancing in classrooms or not. Lower elementary specifically, there are no extra classrooms to send kids into really at this point. So is there that concern of just that if the first grade class that's really big moves to second grade still at lower, if we have 60 more kids coming for kindergarten, which makes it that same really big class now in first grade, and if kindergarten's big, will we have the room to put even no pandemic, that amount of kids into classes? And then if it is pandemic social distancing, what do we do?
So yes.
No, it's all like, what,
I know. I believe yes, we will have the room, because you have to remember we're down roughly 180 students from last spring. So the school of choice, unless it doubled in anticipation, that's the only way that it would create a space issue. So for example, right now at kindergarten, we could facilitate a class size of 200, even though we're at about 140. It's just our class sizes are at 18, 19, where typically they're a little bit higher than that across the 9 sections. So I really, what my fear is that we're down 100 students and we have to make up $1 million in funding. Then that will require, budgetary cuts. We're not going to see this year, like we have in the past, a $200 per pupil increase or a $300 per pupil increase. We're not going to see that. We're a district who is staffed at about 3,080 students. That's what we're staffed for, but we're sitting at under 2,900. We've hit the 2,800 mark. So that's part of the concern. And historically, the reality is that the school of choice numbers, based on advertising and certain things, Bill is very good at having a targeted number and being able to hit that fairly closely. So there is a science to it. It's not just that he posts the school of choice window and then it opens. There is some deliberate. Now, again, I believe throughout the district, if we had like 6 more sections than expected, say 120 more kids than what we can have at capacity, I think then it would cause some concern. But the district's had 3,300 students with the current configuration in terms of building and has been able to accommodate that. So I understand it's concerning, but I don't think in a pandemic state we're going to see our highest school of choice year as is.
Okay, one last question, hopefully. What was our window last year again? Because I can't remember what it was, Bill.
Sure, it was about March 15th, give or take a couple days. It may have been the 12th through June 30th. So this year we're going February 9th through June 30th as the proposal.
And am I right to remember that like in years past, we've done it later in the year than June 30th? Like we went into like more July, August timeframe? And
Yeah, it's flexed a little bit. The last couple of years we've ended on June 30th, but we have gone as late as the first week in school in the past.
So Sarah, if we're short, the rules allow. So say we come in May and we're not anywhere near what we need to be, we can come back to the board and revisit the conversation.
Does that go the opposite way also? Like if say in May we're way above what we think school of choice, can it be something where we say, hey, we were June 30th, but we want to move it back to, I see Sandra shaking her head no.
Okay. You can't change it the other way. You can only extend it because families, once they have it.
Right, that this is the date I can do it until.
Exactly,
I understand it.
yeah.
Yep, okay.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.2, request to approve school of choice window for 2021-2022.
So move.
Moved by Jim,
Second.
seconded by Anna. Any other discussion?
I just want to say thank you to Bill and Danya for putting this together. I've kind of been a stickler on this in the past, but I actually have a big concern that we're going to drop hundreds more students next year. So I think it's important to get this open.
I agree, Jim. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Abraham,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Elturk,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. With 6 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 9.2, request to approve the school of choice window for 2021-2022 is approved. Item 9.3, request to approve the extension of Families First Coronavirus Response Act through March 31st, 2021.
All right, for the board's consideration, we are asking for approval to extend the Families First Coronavirus FFCRA. This expired on December 31st, 2021, and currently is not available to school to staff at Ferndale Public Schools. Basically, it's the extension to this is voluntary, so you don't have to. And we've seen some establishments provide the extension, some have not. We have taken the position that any flexibility that we are able to do within reason, or any compassion that we can offer our employees, we have. And this basically will extend leave options for staff as it relates to the qualifying reasons listed here, caring for individuals who are in quarantine, childcare if an individual school is closed, and these are what's listed. This will allow our employees to utilize this leave up until March 31st, which is when you're allowed to allow extension. We believe it's the right thing to do and are looking for the board's approval. Ms. Volcano prepared this. Teresa, I know you, if there's anything I missed, please chime in.
No, I think you hit everything there. It's a great option for our employees, and we hope the board will approve.
I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.3, request to approve extension of Families First Coronavirus Response Act, FFCRA, through March 31st, 2021.
Move to approve.
Moved by Anna.
Second.
Second by Jen. Any discussion on the motion?
Thanks to Teresa and Danya for putting this together. I think it's a great option that we have.
Yep, I agree. Thanks for supporting our staff. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Elturk,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 6 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 9.3, request to approve the extension of Families First Coronavirus Response Act, FFCRA, through March 31st, 2021 is approved. Item 9.4, request to approve the NOVA Environmental for 2020 bond environmental consultant.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, we're looking to partner up with an environmental consultant for the duration of our bond, which, as we know, is approximately 10 years. We've already bid out the work, and we're going to be starting our projects at Fuel and FECC this summer. So our environmental consultant is going to help us manage any hazardous materials we might come across, like asbestos, lead paint, and other things that might be deemed hazardous. We actually put out an RFP and received proposals from 9 companies. We reviewed all the proposals, and the low responsive bidder was Nova Environmental. Now, they actually were our environmental consultant in the 2012 bond, and they kept their costs the same. So as you can see here, we captured a lot of unit costs from all these companies, but the bulk or lion's share of the work is the project management. You're hiring a consultant who's going to be putting in a lot of hours helping us to manage these projects and the environmental concerns. So Nova has carried their $55 an hour all the way across through the duration of the bond. And they are the cheapest. You can see it goes all the way up to $175 an hour. Nova has been our environmental consultant for the past 25 years, and they actually do our annual asbestos audits. So they have all of that data in their database, so they have easy access to it. So it'll save us money in the long run because they have a lot of our district information already on file at their office. So we're looking for a recommendation to continue with Nova Environmental as our environmental consultant for our bond. Any questions?
Seems to be a good.
I'll entertain a motion to approve item 9.4, request to approve the Nova Environmental for 2020 bond environmental consultant.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by Jackie, second by Jen. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Del Turk,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Liz Hosh,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. With 6 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 9.4, request to approve the Nova Environmental for 2020 bond environmental consultant is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9.5, request to approve Intertech PSI for geotechnical investigation at CASA site.
Okay, so we've just began doing the design work for our brand new elementary school, which is going on the CASA site. The bulk of that work is actually going to start in the summer of 2022. So we're just doing initial engineering work. So part of that is we have to do geotechnical investigations of the soil and the ground there on that site so that the civil and structural engineers can design the footings for that building properly. So the civil engineer put out an RFP, our civil engineer from GMB, our architect, put out an RFP, and he received quotes from 3 firms. And the low responsive firm was Intertech PSI. They are charging $22,500 for the initial geotechnical investigation. So we are recommending that we award this work to Intertech PSI. Any questions?
Jamie, I have a question. Did the company understand the history of that site with respect to the shifting soils and sinking problem that we've had at Jackson?
Yeah, GMB civil and structural engineers are acutely aware of that problem. And if you look at the soil boring reports or the investigation that they're going to conduct, typically for parking lots, you do a 6-foot deep boring. For a 1-story building, you go down 20 feet. But in this case, several of the borings are actually going to be 40 feet, which is pretty unheard of for a 1-story building. But this is going to give GMB's engineers a lot of data and information on, the proposed potential settlement of that building so that they can design the footings properly, whether it's auger cast piles or spread footings. Obviously they're going to have to do something special there to make sure we don't have those similar problems. The tricky part here is we don't know exactly where that building's going to be placed. We just got through the spatial planning. We know it's going to be 90,000 square feet. We don't know if it's going to be in pods, and that's the stuff the architect's working out right now. And then we don't know the exact placement of the building on the site, but this initial report will give them enough information that they can start the foundation designs. And then we might have to go in later once we know the exact placement of the building and do a little bit more testing to ensure that we don't have that similar problem. But they are aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.5, request to approve Intertech PSI for geotechnical investigation at CASA site.
I move.
Moved by Jim,
Second.
second by Anna. Any other discussion on the motion? Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Elturk,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 6 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 9.5, request to approve the Intertech PSI for geotechnical investigation at CASA site is approved.
Thank you.
Item 9.6, request to approve 3-year agreement with Sonatrol for alarm upgrades.
Okay, so our alarm systems in our buildings are very archaic. These are our security alarm systems. As you know, if someone trips the alarm, then they call me in the middle of the night. They have a company that monitors it behind the scenes. But they've been, monitoring our high school since 1975, and the other buildings were brought online in 2000. So a lot of the equipment is very, very old. In the era of Ring doorbells, where things are hooked to your Wi-Fi in your home, our current alarm systems are run through analog phone lines, which frequently drop out. So we've been having a lot of issues lately with losing connection with the buildings. Additionally, the only way to arm or disarm the buildings is to go in there and manually punch in your 6-digit code and hit on or off. We're looking at updating all the equipment to modern technology, which would allow us to remotely turn the buildings on and off via our cell phones, but also we'll be able to monitor to make sure that they're all on through our cell phones. And then also at the alarm pads themselves, you no longer have to input your keypad. You can actually use your district issued prox card to arm and disarm them. So I think it'll be a lot more user friendly for all of our staff that work in those buildings. The one thing though is that Sonatrol has agreed to do this work very cheaply. If you see the entire district is, you can see it down there, $6,249. That's all the labor needed to actually do all this wiring for all the new equipment. But what they are requesting is a 3-year agreement minimum. And then also they would charge us $30 per month per building for software licensing and equipment maintenance. But since, we've had Sonatrol since 1975, we've been happy with them. Originally they wanted 5 years, but we negotiated them down to 3. But they want that commitment from us to be able to put this kind of investment into our district. But we wouldn't be able to buy this equipment even close to that cheap, and that includes all the labor to install it, program it, and get it ready for us. Any questions on that?
I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.6, request to approve the 3-year agreement with Sonatrol for alarm upgrades.
I move.
Moved by Jackie,
A second.
seconded by Sarah.
You can have it.
Any discussion on the motion? Jamie, I just want to thank you for all of the hard work you continue to put in for all of the building facilities, grounds, bond stuff coming up.
I appreciate that. And I did hear all the teachers on the custodial issues, and we'll come up with a plan. Don't worry on that.
I believe you. All right. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Elturk,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 6 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 9.6, request to approve the 3-year agreement with Sonatrol for alarm upgrades is approved.
Thank you.
Item 9.7, request to approve Juul Labs Incorporated resolution.
All right. All right. Schools nationwide are suing Juul Labs and other vaping manufacturers in California. The lawsuit alleges that manufacturers are marketing their products to children and thus causing schools to incur costs, due to vaping suspensions and expulsions, as well as installing vape detectors in bathrooms and other such costs. The lawsuit seeks money to respond to vaping issues in the future and prohibit flavored vaping products sales. Fran's law firm is a California law firm that's representing the schools in California. We are able to, in Michigan, jump onto this lawsuit on a contingent fee basis, meaning we would not be inclined to pay anything unless in fact they were successful in the litigation against Juul. Truin Law Firm would still be our current attorney would still oversee this, and obviously they would too receive a referral basis. Some believe that this could be kind of one of the big tobacco lawsuits, and they really do anticipate some sort of settlement. For us, there's really minimal risk. It's probably 10 hours of our time in terms of responding to a survey and filling out the applicable information needed to show how we've been impacted by vape products within our schools. And then, as I said, we would not be inclined to pay anything unless they were successful. So Truin does recommend that we join this lawsuit and see where it goes. The board would have to approve the resolution in order for us to be a part of that lawsuit.
I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.7, request to approve the Juul Labs Incorporated resolution.
I move.
Moved by Jackie,
Second.
second by Jim. Any discussion on the motion?
I don't know if we will ever see any money out of this, but it will be nice to be a major annoyance to a huge vaping company and not have any loss.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of cost are we looking at?
We're not. If they win, the attorneys get the money.
Okay,
If we lose, the attorneys have wasted a lot of time.
okay. So there's no financial outlay for us?
No.
Okay.
Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Abraham,
Yes?
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Elturk,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 6 yes votes, the motion passes and item 9.7, request to approve the Juul Labs Incorporated resolution is approved. Item 9.8, request to approve Comcast Sponsor Services Agreement Amendment.
So as you know, at the beginning of, actually 6 months ago, so yeah, close to the beginning of the school year, we looked into Comcast partnership. If you remember, Sandra, you had mentioned the Essentials program that has the ability to get low-cost internet to our families. That's more reliable than the typical Kajit or wireless device. We've served as the sponsor for families who need that Comcast service at home, and the district has paid for those wireless services because in a virtual environment, it is our duty to provide students with wireless access if they need. So we've had that partnership. Our original contract was for 6 months. This is simply an amendment for us to continue since we're starting the new year in a virtual environment. We want to make sure that families who need internet, that we can continue to sponsor that. again, it's our duty as a public entity to provide students with the resources they need to work in a virtual environment. So nothing changes in the agreement. It's $10 a month with taxes. And we do have a good amount of families taking advantage of this.
I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.8, request to approve Comcast Sponsor Services Agreement Amendment.
Move to approve.
Moved by second by Jen. Any discussion on the motion? I'm really glad that we were able to get this sponsorship and provide some more reliable internet options for our families. So I'm glad we're extending that.
Yes, thank you for passing that along.
Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Latash,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Elturk,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. With 6 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 9.8, request to approve the Comcast Sponsor Services Agreement Amendment is approved. Item 9.9, request to approve the Intercultural Development Inventory IDI proposal.
So we've been talking about this for quite some time. We held out hope to be able to do this in a completely in-person manner. There's still some hope to do that. Again, this started with the board looking into 3 different firms to provide intercultural competency training and professional development to the Board of Education as well as Cabinet. This is in line with our strategic plan in terms of our commitment to equity within our schools. And so this professional development, Sandra and myself met with this firm kind of as a final round interview. Again, Sandra, if I'm speaking for you, tell me differently, but we both felt good after speaking to the representatives and felt that this firm would be the best to provide this professional development. As I stated, we had planned for this PD for some time, so it is currently budgeted and accounted for in our budget. The training will include cabinet members as well as the Board of Education. And this is kind of an overview with us commencing in May once they have a commitment from us. And this is basically what's entailed in terms of, organizational discovery in our initial meeting, our group orientation, our IDI assessment deployment, individual IDI debriefs, and then it goes on. As you see, this is a long-term commitment towards professional development of the board. I really do commend the board for taking so much time as it relates to professional development. I believe this will benefit not only them, but the staff as well, as this PD will then trickle down to staff after we go through it. So you can see this is close to almost a year commitment, and very excited about the possibility of continuing with that. So after a lot of research, dialogue, we're at the point where we're ready to recommend this firm for the professional development.
I will entertain a motion to approve item 9.9, request to approve Intercultural Development Inventory IDI proposal.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Jen, seconded by Jim. Any discussion on the motion?
Glad we're getting started.
Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Elturk,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Latash,
Yes.
Vice President Dookie.
Yes.
Thank you.
With 6 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 9.9, request to approve the Intercultural Development Inventory IDI proposal is approved. Which brings us to item 10 on the agenda, informational items.
So very quickly, we've included our budget to actual report that we use as our check and balance budgetary wise. Our budget is obviously looking very differently because we've had the COVID dollars, so our percentages are not matching up exactly to last year. Although the variances are explained, Nancy does, as usual, a great job to explain why we're seeing, for example, in terms of federal revenue, why we have 40% remaining at this point in the year, and last year we had 85% remaining. Again, those variances are explained. When you get an additional $1 million, it throws off your percentages between last year and this year. We're still, we are still budgetary wise for this year doing okay. Obviously, we're concerned a little bit about a negative supplemental in terms of the state is giving us, right? The state and federal government are giving us COVID relief dollars that will take us into the end of this year and next year. But they might also apply negative supplemental. So if you remember last year, they gave us $1 million and we said, oh, this is great, except for then they cut our funding $170 per pupil and said, well, it's really no impact because we gave you the money back in COVID dollars. Well, COVID dollars are heavily restricted, whereas per pupil foundation allowance is not restricted, right? So we're still optimistically cautious as we enter the end of the year because a negative supplemental might come as it did at the end of last year. Now the impact was minimal, but otherwise our spending is everything is in line except for, as we discussed at the last meeting, the food service due to the packaging and the expensive nature of having pre-packaged meals instead of cooking meals. But, that's just a byproduct of the pandemic, and we have to ensure that the food is packaged in a way that keeps it safe for our kids and families. So nothing crazy on this. Questions on this?
Well, just a comment on the negative supplemental. The knock on wood, but the revenue outlook that they came out with, the consensus revenue estimating conference, actually did show they expect $1 billion surplus in the school aid fund at the end of the year. So even a little bit of a slowdown would easily be accommodated.
Yes, that's true.
Knock on wood.
Item 10.2, extended COVID-19 learning plan goal reporting.
So this is, again, this is for information. This will be posted after this meeting on our website. This is one of the required documents that is posted. It just basically is, it's kind of like a school improvement plan. These are goals that you have to have associated with virtual learning. And we keep track of those. We'll do fall and then before of end of year and update those as we go. But again, this is something that's required to be posted.
Item 11, consideration of any pulled consent agenda items. We didn't have any. Before we go to item 12, I'd like to give the opportunity for anyone who wanted to speak at public comment who didn't have the chance to do that now. Same rules apply, 3 minutes. Secretary Jackie will give you a warning if when you get close to the end of the 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to speak?
I'm not sure how to raise my hand, so can I just begin speaking?
Sure.
Sorry about that. Hi, good evening. I'm Shayna Lee. I'll just speak quickly. I know I've already emailed a bunch of you. I'm a parent of a child at Ferndale Lower that just woke up because she heard me speaking and has some special needs. She does go to learning labs in the morning. And I know that there are a lot of variables, as I'm a kindergarten teacher myself, as to when we return to school and when Ferndale returns to school. But being a parent of a child with whatever you want to call it, but mental illnesses, as you all have discussed earlier, this is a hard time for anyone. So put that on top of a child that already has mental illness, and this is brutal. So I ask again, and I will speak about it on Thursday as well, about an extension on learning labs if you're not going to open schools yet. Staff's already there. So if you're not going to open schools yet, to please again consider extending the time that the children are in learning labs. As for my child, and I know for other children as well, learning at home is very challenging. You like to do that? I know you like to chill at home, but that's
We all do.
so yeah, so that's just what I wanted to bring to you all's attention. Again, I know I've already done so, but just in this space to please consider perhaps extending learning labs in lieu of maybe starting school, returning to school earlier. And that's all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
I got a quick question. I apologize. I wasn't able to make it for the open forum in the beginning. I was in a class myself. But was there any mention as to if there's any type of afternoon care or anything that's an affordable option for parents who won't be able to adhere to this roomies and zoomies situation? Anybody? Oh, just a quick question on that one. Because I know that our family personally, like once we go back to school, we're back to school. Like I'm back at work. And the ability to have 4 or however many days of half-day options are just not a feasible option for our family. And to be able to dedicate not only the morning time, but also the afternoon time that's going to be required is just something that, you know, working parents are just going to have really a hard time doing. So is that something that's going to be an availability for working parents to have an affordable option, to have the afternoons actually monitored by somebody who's able to do it? My kids aren't in the learning labs as of yet, and I don't foresee us being on that list at any time right now. But is that something that we're going to have available in the future?
Nikki, can you email me or provide your email to me in the chat? You can privately message me, and then I can respond to your question after the meeting. During public comment, there tends to be comments, not question and answer, but I can certainly get you an answer tomorrow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is my first time on a meeting, so I appreciate
No worries. It's all good.
I missed the first half and all the particulars, so I appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in public comment? Okay, this officially closes public comment. Item 12, our next special board meeting is a committee of the whole, February 8th, 2021. Our next regular board meeting is February 22nd, 2021, which brings us to item 14, Eagles Points of Prides.
I'll go first. Just when you're feeling pretty lousy about life, the mailman shows up with a lovely little letter, a lovely card from a first grader at Lower L, and I believe her name is Amy or Amelia Scott, and she makes the most beautiful hearts in the whole world. And she made my life so happy today. And I just wanted to thank all the people at Lower L who were involved in having their students making these cards for the school board. So thanks a lot, Lower L. Love you guys a lot. Thanks.
No one else has a point of pride?
I'll go
I've got
next.
a point of pride, but I didn't want to jump right in right away. It's my first one.
But,
I just wanted, I guess I want to do two, if that's all right. I wanted to say thanks to the parents at Lower Elementary who on Martin Luther King Jr. Day took the time to set up their own kind of informal pop-up peace walk to kind of do something familiar to the students from elementary and have something there. So it was really nice to see the families come together in a socially distanced outdoor event. They just kind of brought back some of those warm fuzzies that we're used to having when we're typically in person. And then wanted to give a kind of just continued shout out to all the teachers and the packets that they've been sending home, which have been amazing. And the kids love them and get excited about them and immediately want to look through every piece of paper that is in them. But they've just been great to continuously teach the kids and have different manipulatives from counters to flashcards to art projects and everything in between. So big thank you to all of that, because I know it's not easy putting it together and it takes a lot of work, but it's all the work is seen and we appreciate it.
I'll go next. Well, my first point of pride is to Vice President Sandra Dukey. You did a great job running your first meeting tonight, so kudos to you. And I just want to wish all the students well who are going to be up bright and early tomorrow taking the PSAT at FHS. I know it's been a while since they've had to be up that early in the morning, so hopefully they'll get a good night's rest and be ready to go in the morning for their exams.
I'll piggyback on that one and give a shout out to the high schoolers and I think some middle schoolers who had their first ever virtual finals a couple weeks ago. I'm sure that was a bizarre experience. I know it was on my end of watching two high schoolers. So a big shout out to them for making it through their first semester and working really hard and trying to get through this bizarre situation. So just a shout out to the kids and their teachers.
I would like to also give a shout out to Sarah Elturk, who's in her first regular meeting as a board member after our initial organization meeting and special meeting. But welcome to the board, and I know it seems like you're sort of drinking from a fire hose with all the information coming at you, but you know, reach out to any of us with questions and welcome. And my second shout out is to our new President and Vice President of the United States. So happy that they are on the job.
All right. Well, you know, my shout out is same thing. Anna, I got a couple of really nice uplifting notes. One that came from Lower on Friday. It seems that people know when to just put a smile on your face. And I appreciate the staff, the administration, the teachers, hard work. I really, you know, if anyone would have told us in public education that we'd be going through a pandemic of this stature, I don't think any of us would have ever thought we would. But ultimately, everyone has been understanding, compassionate, respectful, and knowing that we're really navigating uncharted waters. So everyone who sent a nice email or just kind of gave you a smile and a head nod, you know, I really do appreciate that. You know, sometimes it's spoken, unspoken, but I do appreciate it. And then my last shout out is, it's my baby Normie's birthday tomorrow. He's going to be 5. He's so excited. I'm more excited that I don't have a board meeting on his birthday. But that kid really, I love how different he is from everyone in our family. He's gonna really take us for a ride in life. So if any of you haven't met him, you will one day. He's gonna be making more appearances one day when it's safe to do so. So happy birthday to Norman.
Yay, Norman.
So I just want to say, just echo what Danya said with all of the community, the staff, the board. It's a really different time we're living in. And I appreciate all emails, the ones that make me smile and the ones that make my eyebrow furrow. I don't shy away from those. And I think that's why we're here. We are here to hear you. So I don't appreciate having to make the hard decisions, but I'm glad I've got the rest of you guys to help make that one decision when we make those decisions. And I just appreciate everyone being patient. We're listening, it's rough, and at some point we're gonna come through on the other side, healthy, hopefully, and together. And with that, the meeting is adjourned at 9:22.